Good morning, Flagler County, and welcome to Veterans on Point, a WNZF radio show developed in mind for our county's beloved and respected veterans population and anyone else listening via internet or podcast. I'm your host, David Lyden, the Flagler County Veteran Services Officer, and no, I'm not here with my friend and colleague at the office today, but I'm here with one of my friends, and that's Jeff Kingdon, United States Marine Corps veteran and the 2024 Flagler County Veteran of the Year.
Good morning.
And you know him as the man who does all the woodworking, makes the plaques that go out to the veterans in the nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and everywhere else. And you might also notice, if you're a watcher on YouTube, that we have a guest in the studio today, and that is Mr. David Bowers. He's a United States Air Force veteran, and he's the president of the Flagler County Photographers Association. And we're going to talk today about photography.
Yeah.
And how that, how the Air Force may have had a little, or his being in the Air Force has something to do with that's planting that seed for his.
Oh, there's no question. It had everything to do with it.
There we go. So that's what is Veterans on Point. We like to tie those things in. So hang on, and here we go. Just to remind you that David and Eric, we are your Flagler County Veteran Services Officers at 1769 East Moody Boulevard in Bunnell. Should you need help with VA claims, that's a veteran or their surviving spouses and other family members. We do much more than just VA claims. We can help with other things too, related to Department of Defense pensions and with information on how to help you with that. Getting logged into your government accounts, we can help with that too. I know it's not fun, believe me. And so, our phone number is 386-313-4014. Our Star Spangled Banner of the Week was done by musician first class Catherine Dobbins, United States Navy. You found this on YouTube. It was at I think it was at a Major League Baseball. It might have been at the All-Star game. I don't remember, but it's a good version of the national anthem. So stick around to the end of the program to hear that. Our list of League of Loyal listeners, Billy Jones. Of course, Billy Jones. I've got something in my pocket that I'm going to share with our guests and our producer from Billy because of the president we're going to talk about this week. But we got Billy, and we've got Navy Master Chief Dan and his wife Kay up there at San Cyr. Our Marine pal Jeff Kingdon's right down the table here from us, and we got Talkin' Tom and Charlie Hanger and his wife Jenny. Saw Charlie this week at the Veterans Advisory Council meeting. And we got Valerie, and we've got Dennis, and we got Sharon and her husband Bill, and we've got Shane. I heard from Shane today. We've got Norman and Howard and William and Holly, and, of course, Howard's wife Valerie. And we've got Jim and Stephen and James, multiple Jameses, like James the Mailmaid. And we've got David and Mrs. Martin, Frankie Sr. and Frankie Jr., and Bicycle Frank. And Gary and Lisa and the Gallaghers and Bill and Delmer, Don, Michael, another James Miller, Mr. Holt, and I know there's many more listeners out there. And so if you're a listener and you'd like to get on the League of Loyal Listeners list, just give a call, like I said, at 386-313-4014, Veterans Services. I like to speed through what I'm doing because I have our guest here. I want to make sure I give him his due amount of time today, so bear with me. I do have a public service announcement, so if you're an astute observer on YouTube and you happen to see some stitches in my face, that's because I had some basal cell carcinoma excised from my cheek last week, and then the following day they had a plastic surgeon sew me up. Now, I do get the stitches out tomorrow. But my PSA is that skin cancers like basal cell carcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma are medically understood to be the consequence of the sun damage and the sunburn that you had in your youth. So it may be too late for the old people, and I guess I resemble that remark now too. But so your parents and grandparents protect your children from the sunburns. So use appropriate clothing, especially, well, I grew up in the Northeast, so I got my sunburns in the Northeast, not in Florida. But protect your kids with the clothing or sunscreens, preferably mineral-based sunscreen. And us old people should be protecting our skin, too, so that those carcinomas don't have a chance to manifest. And as you might see, my guest right here, he's got a Band-Aid on the side of his nose. So It's happening.
I earned it.
And so I get folks that come in the office quite often that have had the same thing done. So be careful. Massage by Natalie. That is one of the one of the sponsors of the WNCF podcast. And we do have Jeff, at our meeting the other day, one of the veterans let us know that he did have a recent massage by Natalie, and it wasn't by Natalie, but by her company. And he said it was great. It was the first massage that he's ever had in his life. His chiropractor told him that would be a good idea, and so he did it, and he thought it was well worth the visit. So
he was very pleased with it.
Yeah. So Massage by Natalie and Company. Their phone number is 386-227-7499, and they're at 4871 Palm Coast Parkway Northwest in Suite number 1. All right, shifting gears, and here's our President of the Week. And on Veterans on Point, we like to talk about history. And why do we do the presidents? Well, the presidents are our commanders-in-chief and the commanders-in-chief of the military. And so this is a veteran and military-centric program. And so we're going to talk about our commanders-in-chief. So we're going to skip past the 24th president because Grover Cleveland was the 22nd and the 24th president. We profiled him a couple weeks ago, so we're going to get past that. And we're going to talk about the 25th president of the United States, and that's William McKinley. He served from 1897 until his assassination in 1901. His presidency bridged the 19th and 20th centuries, a time of rapid industrial growth and America's emergence as a global power. Yet, beyond his well-known role in the Spanish-American War, McKinley's life is filled with lesser-known details that reveal a complex man navigating a transformative era. Born in 1843 in Niles, Ohio, McKinley, deeply shaped by his devout Methodist upbringing, his mother, Nancy, instilled a strong moral compass, and he remained a teetotaler his entire life, avoiding alcohol even at political functions where it flowed freely. This abstinence was unusual for a politician of his time when social drinking was a norm, as if it's not now. McKinley's early life also included a brief stint as a teacher before he enlisted in the Civil War at 18, serving under future President Rutherford B. Hayes. His bravery at the Battle of Antietam, where he risked his life to deliver supplies under fire, earned him a promotion to second lieutenant, a fact often overshadowed by his later political career. McKinley's devotion to his wife Ida is one of the most poignant aspects of his life. Ida suffered from epilepsy and frail health, and McKinley was extraordinarily attentive, often breaking protocol to care for her during public events. After losing their 2 young daughters to illness, the couple clung to each other, and McKinley's personal letters reveal a tenderness rare for public figures of the era. He once wrote to Ida, "You are my all," a sentiment that guided his daily life. Their bond was so strong that McKinley insisted on keeping her close, even during his presidency, a decision that occasionally puzzled aides, less known as McKinley's fascination with technology. He was the first president to ride in an automobile, a 1900 Stanley steamer, and his administration saw the White House install its first telephone lines. McKinley embraced these innovations, recognizing their potential to connect the nation. His economic policies, particularly his staunch support for the gold standard, sparked fierce debate. While critics dubbed him McKinley the Monarch for his ties to big business, he quietly supported early labor reforms, including arbitration laws to settle strikes, a progressive stance for the time. McKinley's assassination at the 1901 Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, New York, by anarchist Leon Segal's shocked the nation. What less known is that McKinley shot twice, reportedly whispered to his aides, "Be careful how you tell her," when he was speaking about Ida, showing his concern for her fragile health even as he lay dying. His death paved the way for Theodore Roosevelt, but McKinley's legacy, marked by economic prosperity and imperial expansion set the stage for America's 20th century ascent. And here's a quote of the week by William McKinley, and it's on national unity. Let us ever remember that our interest in concord is not conflict, and that our real eminence rests in the victories of peace, not those of war. And that's from his first inaugural address in March of 1897. And this quote underscores McKinley's preference for diplomacy and economic strength over military conflict, despite his presidency's association with the Spanish-American War. So what I brought from Billy Jones is in 2013, William McKinley presidential $1 coin was minted with a face value of $1. It's legal tender for all debts, public and charged taxes and dues. These coins made out of a copper core with manganese brass cladding were produced for circulation as collectibles in uncirculated and proof conditions. While they are legal tender, they are not commonly used in everyday transactions due to limited circulation and collector interest. In uncirculated condition, they are valued at around $3.40, and proof versions can fetch up to $9.50. So on behalf of Billy Jones, Mr. Producer Mark, here's your $1 McKinley coin. Same for you, David.
Thank you, sir.
And pass that on over to Jeff.
Hello, Jeff.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Billy.
I'm not going to spend this.
Billy, the promise is fulfilled on our presidential day for William McKinley. I passed out those coins.
That was very nice, and I appreciate that.
All right, so before we get any further, we got to let you know that drivers, the DAV is seeking volunteer drivers to take veterans from their homes to their VA appointments. That's DAV Chapter 86. Their phone number is 386-439-2122. And they need some help taking drivers to their appointments, whether that's a VA medical center appointment, a clinic appointment, a C&P, which is a compensation and pension exam appointment for VA claims, or for a community care appointment that's been set up by the VA. So, again, the phone number 386-439-2122. You don't have to use your own vehicle as a volunteer. The DAV does have VA vehicles. You do have to be insurable, and you do have to pass a physical. So to find out how to either become a volunteer or how to access and use the transportation system, give the DAV a call, 386-439-2122. Couple more things. All right. The Veteran of the Year nomination period, that's the Flagler County Veteran of the Year, which our friend Jeff down the table here is the current Veteran of the Year for 2024. So the nominations packages are out. If you want me to email you what those nomination instructions are, be happy to do that. You can reach me at DLYDON@flaglercounty.gov. You can also find that email on our Flagler County webpage. Or you can give us a call and give me your email over the phone. I'll send it to you. My, again, phone number is 386-313-4014. There's supposed to be a press release soon about the instructions on how to do the nominations. So the nominations open up 1 August, and they go through 30 September. We'd like to see so many nominations so that we can select the best. They'll all be great, but there's going to be one that stands above all the others. And so please send in some nominations of your favorite veteran. Follow the instructions and get it to us by 30 September. One final thing before I switch over to Mr. Bowers, and that is the Flagler Veterans Day Parade is November 11th. I think it's on a Tuesday this year. Need to register if you want to be in the parade. So they're looking for you to do that sooner than later, so they know how big the parade's going to be, and we can know who we're going to be taking care of that day. All the logistics that go with putting on a parade. So go to flaglerveteransdayparade.com and register at the site. Find out more about the Flagler Veterans Day Parade. All right. That's all I have for the first part of the show. And like I said, I wanted to make sure I give David a chance to
Thank you.
share his information. So,
You're very
again,
kind.
welcome back.
Thank you.
And so you're, like we were talking about before, you're an Air Force veteran. You got stationed in Japan and Yokota.
Yeah.
And you, as far as I remember, you took a Nikon course.
Exactly. Took a
And
Nikon course.
Bada boom, bada bang.
Bada boom. And in that stint at Yokota Air Force Base in Japan over those 2 years, I was looking for something to do while I was there, and so I took a correspondence course from the Nikon School of Photography in Tokyo. And I'm so glad that I did, because I've used that GI experience, what I thought would help me raise my family. So when I got back and discharged, because I already had a wife and a child, I thought I could make a living behind the camera. The first place I went was Madison Square Garden. I figured I'll start at the top, and I'll just work my way down. And I went in, and I met a man by the name of John Halligan. John was in charge of the marketing for the garden. And I went in, and John says to me, well, let me see your portfolio. I said, I don't have one. Now, can you imagine applying for a job in photography and you don't have... I said, I just was discharged from the Air Force. You know, he says, I'm going to give you a shot. I'm going to give you Wednesday afternoon, Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus, and I'm going to put you in the center ring with Gunther Gable Williams. And now, if you don't remember Gunther Gable Williams, German fellow, long blonde hair, this is during the 70s.
Yeah.
And so a line stood over my head. I was under that thing. And I took my images, and as I'm walking out, the old fellow there says to me, you going to show those to John? I said, yeah, he wants to see 5 of them. He says, don't give him 5. He says, give him 3. That's an important lesson, because the 4th and the 5th won't be as good as the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I'll never forget that.
It's probably some human nature thing.
I think so, yeah. But anyway, that's how it started out. It didn't all end up that way, and I chose another career. I had to, because I had a family, and I put the camera down. And now I find myself in Florida as a retired man. And now I'm pleased to say that I'm president of the Flagler County Photographers Association. That has 75 area members. And as of this morning, 8,250 around the world that follow our Flagler County residents. Very pleased with that number.
And I understand you have a distinction of being...
Oh, yeah. I was fortunate enough to be named number 2 in the world by the National Wildlife Federation for birds only. Once I step out of birds, I'm not as good
That's
as
still a pretty good distinction for the world.
It's a nice arrow in my quiver, as they say. So I'm delighted with photography. But I must tell you, going back to the Air Force opportunity as a young man, I wasn't exactly the happiest person to be there, but it found its way into my everyday life. It's amazing. Like I lay my clothes out in the morning to get ready for the day. I look forward to what I'm going to need to get my job done. It's amazing how indelibly printed in my mind my experience in the military has been. It won't go away.
Sometimes at that age, when you're a world away, there's a little bit of there's homesickness that kind of overcomes everything else that you're right. But
without question,
but it's still seeped in.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's there. It served me well. So anyway, that's how photography has found its way into my life and who I am today. I am currently giving lectures, and I'm happy to do it for any VA who's listening out there. I give an hour-long lecture on Matthew Brady. And for those of the folks out there who don't know who Matthew Brady was, Matthew Brady originally was from Glens Falls, New York, wanted to be an artist, ended up going to New York, and wanted to become a painter. And he met a man by the name of Samuel F.B. Morris, who was a fabulous painter. And the two of them went to Paris, and they bought what was then the first pinhole camera. And it was specific for the artist community. Rather than having a subject sit down for hour after hour, they figured they could take their image, and they could paint from there. On the way back, if you don't know or not, Samuel F.B. Morse wrote the Morse code. Very interesting story. So that's how Brady got going. He became the famous Civil War photographer. And one day, closing up the studio in New York, went across the street to his favorite drinking hole, met a man by the name of P.T. Barnum. P.T. Barnum, of course, Barnum and Bailey Circus, recognized at that time as one of the finest marketers of all time. And Barnum says to him, "How small can you make an image?" Well, he says, "I think I can make it about the size of a thumbnail." He says, "Can you put it on tin?" Yeah, he says, "I can do that." Well, that became the first campaign button. You know those buttons on your lapel? So prior to 1860, so that would be 1858, Lincoln was in New York at the Cooper Union. Brady photographed him, kept that wet plate, and put Lincoln's face on that campaign button. Lincoln becomes elected president in 1860. 6 months later, 6'3" Lincoln, 5'6" Brady get together at the White House, and Lincoln leans over into him and says, "Those silly buttons of you got me elected president." Can you imagine? So here's a great example. A photographer changed American history. That's the way I see it, as a photographer. That's my take on P.T. Barnum. Absolutely. But you see how all these things coalesce into a fabulous story.
Well, that's what's great about history, because you see how those things coalesce.
Yeah.
You go through life and you just think things are the way they are, but they originated somewhere.
Yeah, they sure did.
Absolutely. I understand you also do reenactor type things. Is that correct?
I do that, and there are fortunately a couple of reenactments here, not only in Flagler County, but in surrounding counties. And there I'll dress as Matthew Brady. And I have the large camera, the black cloth that goes over it, and I got the big bellows out there. Now, my camera is a little different because inside my box, there's nothing except a Nikon Z9, 45-megapixel camera, but it's sticking out the box. Nobody knows that's in there. So when I'm taking a picture during the battle, I'm getting digitized images.
Uh-huh.
And they're really good.
That's funny.
Well, because I'm dressed like him, so they put me in the pitch. I don't have to be in the public stand. So, yeah, that's been good to me. In fact, that lecture I recently gave in an area college to 24 students who are going to graduate in a couple of months. And I will tell you, looking down upon them as I'm talking about Matthew Brady and photography and the Civil War, they're on their cell phones. Nobody's paying attention. They could care less that I was there. And I'm looking at the clock, and I see I've got 10 minutes to go. I said, well, you're going to be graduating in 2 months. How many people here have a job lined up? No hand went up. I said, how many people in this room are going to graduate in 2 months, know what you want to do going forward? Nothing. So I said, well, I'm here to offer you a job. And now all of a sudden I got their attention. Listen to this and write it down. We're going to start you out with salary. We are going to give you free medical and dental. The job calls for, when you start out, 30 days paid vacation, free training, free housing, and after 20 years you can retire for life. Who's interested? Every hand went up. It's the United States military. Every hand went down. What a sad commentary.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's unfortunately true. But think about all these benefits, and I just made a list of them to come down here. If you're a young person out there and you don't know what you want to do, I'm telling you right now, you start out with salary, medical benefits, 30 days paid vacation, and the list goes on, and you'll come out of it changed for the better.
It was good to me.
Or you can use it to have them pay for your college.
Yes, good point. Kids today are graduating with college debt.
Yes.
That is so severe they can't get a good rating to borrow money. They probably won't buy their first house until they're in their late 40s.
Right. That's the statistics.
That's a solid point you raise. Yeah.
So
sad commentary.
How do people get a hold of you if there's things that they want to do with you?
Okay. I'm happy. I'm going to give my phone, but I'm I want everyone out there to know and pass the word that if you have old photographs of parents, grandparents, great-grandparents who were in the military, I have a complete studio that is synergistic to restoration. I can take those old photographs and make them new. In fact, I can take those old black and whites and colorize them. And now I can take those images and give them 5 to 9 seconds of animation. That is to say, movement. I can take a picture taken in the 1800s and make him turn around and smile at you. It's amazing, the technology today.
It is.
Getting in touch with me would be by my cell phone. Can I give that?
Sure.
It's an area code of 919-961-5271.
And that is Mr. David Bowers.
Yep. And I'm happy to help people restore their images.
Well, bingo. We're right at the 2-minute warning. So, when that time comes, I got to let you know that no country, no state, no community does more for veterans than the United States of America, the great and free state of Florida. The wonderful Flagler County, all of the beautiful beach cities. I think I mentioned the lovely city of Palm Coast. Be a victor, not a victim. Be educated, not indoctrinated. And most importantly, be kind to someone today. Jeff, any final comments? You didn't get to talk much today, but that's okay. That's what Ed McMahon would do.
That's right.
No, this was a good show, and thank you for inviting me, David.
All right. And any final thoughts, sir?
Just thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to being contacted to help people who are veterans who want work done on their photography, or for me to give lectures at their gatherings. I'm happy to do it.
Very good. Would you like to come in as Mr.
Matthew
Morrison?
Brady.
Matthew Brady.
Yeah.
Matthew Brady.
Yeah. I'll have on a gray goatee. Yes.
That's right, now in this video.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have the goatee on and the whole bit.
Is there YouTube videos out there with you doing that? Existing yet?
No, because most of them I do in the field, and the colleges don't do it. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but I'm ready to go.
All right, very good. All right, folks. Well, thanks for being with us. We'll be back again with you next week. Eric won't be here again next week, but the following week he'll be here. He's enjoying himself in Puerto Rico, and he's doing well. And so thanks again for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled